Hi everybody, hope you're all well. Welcome to David's Tours of London. I'm going to do a bit of a voiceover on this one because it was a very noisy day, and you probably won't hear me properly, especially for the bits when I'm around the road. So I'm voicing over this bit and then I'll probably come back on live, so to speak, for some of the other bits. So today's walk is going to be around Parliament and Parliament Square, and then we're going to go across Parliament Square, past Westminster Abbey, in towards St James's Park, and we're going to end up at the Cabinet War Rooms, where Winston Churchill directed the British and Commonwealth forces in the Second World War. So I think what I'm just pointing out now is where we're going. So you can see the House of Parliament just behind me. And then that's the top. You can just see the top there of Westminster Abbey. We're going to take a closer look at Westminster Abbey. But as I say, behind us, just across the road and to the left of your screen there, that's part of the House of Parliament. And then there's the big tower there that is just behind us. That's got Big Ben. The Big Ben is actually the name of the bell rather than the actual tower. But we'll get a better look at that when we move up. So let's see. Let's start the walk. I'm walking up towards Westminster Bridge. That's where all the traffic is going over Westminster Bridge. It goes over the Thames, which is just there under the bridge. You can't see it, but it's just over there. And then you come onto the South Bank. So at the moment we're on the North Bank, which is the sort of West End part of London. So let's see if we can cross the road without getting run over. Most of the traffic is pretty good in London. They do normally stop at red lights, but they don't always, so you still need to keep your wits about you. So a bit of background. So it's strictly speaking, it's called the Palace of Westminster, but most people will know it as the Houses of Parliament. There are two Houses of Parliament. There's the House of Commons, which is this end, which is where the windows are there, and that's where the MPs, the members of Parliament who are elected every 4 or 5 years, will sit, and they form the government. And then at the other end is the House of Lords, and those are the hereditary peers, and also the judges are there, and the bishops are in the House of Lords, and they're the sort of the great and the good, and they don't get elected; they're appointed, or some of them are hereditary, in other words, because their family and their parents were in the House of Lords. So there's not many of those left, actually. Most of them are appointed, and were quite senior people in the government, etc. So House of Parliament, it was this building that you're going to be looking at today. What happened was there was a big fire, and the old House of Parliament burnt down in 1834, and then they started building the new one in about 1840. It took them about 20 or 30 years to build these new Houses of Parliament. So I don't know, they're about 150, 160 years old now. So we're just going to go out onto Westminster Bridge, and I'll probably talk a little bit more when we get up there. Okay, so here we are on Westminster Bridge, and you can see it's actually called the Palace of Westminster, which is the Houses of Parliament by another name. And this side is the House of Commons, and the other side at the other end is the House of Lords. And you get a really good view here of Big Ben. And if you look over there, this is called Portcullis House, and that's where MPs have their offices as well. If you can pan round, as you can see the river just about, and there's the London Eye. And just here, this used to be the County Hall for London, but it's now a nice hotel. So just by the London Eye is the South Bank, but that's for another tour and another day. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to take a walk back down, as I said. We're going to take a walk back down past the House of Parliament and into Parliament Square, and we're going to take a walk around Westminster Square. So come with me. If you have a quick look over there, you can see that's a statue of Queen Boudica, and she was the queen of a tribe called the Mycenae around the time of the Romans, and she's quite famous for leading a fight against the Romans when they invaded
England. Okay, and you can see Westminster Station a bit better now, and you can get there on the District line or the Circle line or on the Jubilee line. It's quite easy to get to, and it's a really convenient station if you want to see central London and all the sights we're going to see in a minute.
So just some quick facts as we're walking past the Houses of Parliament. Although it was established as a democracy, when they actually built the new House of Parliament in 1840, only about 4% of the total population of the United Kingdom were able to vote. And it wasn't until 1918, with the Representation of the People Act, that all men were allowed to vote, and some women who over 30 who owned land were also allowed to vote. And then later on, finally in 1928, all people over 21 were allowed to vote.
Okay, most of this area is government buildings, so you won't find many restaurants or hotels around here. There are a few, but there aren't many. This is Whitehall here, and Whitehall is all government buildings, and just up Whitehall on the left is Downing Street, which is the home of the Prime Minister, number 10 Downing Street. The building here is the Foreign Office, and just behind that is the Treasury. Okay, we're going to cross over in a minute. So this is Parliament Square, which is quite famous for protests. If people want to have a protest, they quite often have it in Parliament Square, which makes sense because it's just in front of Parliament, which is just to your left there. And you can get a better view of Parliament and how big it is here. And you've got a better view of Westminster Abbey as well. Which makes it a lot strange. It's quite busy around here, and then we're going to cross over and take a walk around the perimeter of Parliament Square. And we get a better view of Parliament, and we can get a nice view of Westminster Abbey as well. So this is a famous statue of Winston Churchill, and there are quite another number of famous statues in this particular square. As I say, you can actually see up into Whitehall. So at the very top of Whitehall, if you go all the way to the end of Whitehall, you come into Trafalgar Square. So and we'll take a walk on another day around Trafalgar Square and where that leads you to, but not for today. It's going to be Parliament Square. We've got a green man, so let's get across. Okay, if you turn around, you can see the House of Parliament better. There's a statue right in front of you there, and that is Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell, there was a revolution in England in the 17th century, and Charles I was the king, and they chopped his head off, and Oliver Cromwell for a little while was pretty much the king of England until he died, and then they brought back Charles II onto the throne. Ever since then we still have a monarchy, and we now have Charles III. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, behind me you can see the entrance to Westminster Abbey. Westminster Abbey is obviously a very famous church. It's where most of the monarchs of Britain and England are buried, and it's where many of the royal marriages take place, but there are many other famous people in there. There's a poet's corner in there with all the famous poets, and the unknown warrior is also buried there, who was put there after the First World War.
So I'm just going to give you a quick bit of information about Westminster Abbey. So it's been there a very long time, and the main buildings were probably started in the 1040s with Edward the Confessor. But the actual buildings that you will see when you go to Westminster Abbey, they were mainly built by Henry III in 1245. What I'm pointing out now, that's Nelson Mandela statue. As I say, there are a number of famous statues. I think John F. Kennedy is also has a statue here as well, and we're just walking up towards Mahatma Gandhi's statue as well.
So the clock, it chimes on the quarter hour, and then it plays the actual full hour for the number of hours it is that it's striking. Okay, we've got a green man, let's get across. So you can see we've come round, and there's Big Ben over there now. Okay, I think we can risk it. You see the traditional red telephone box. Nobody actually uses them for a phone anymore, but they're actually very nice, and the tourists and visitors to London love them. And we've still got the red letter boxes, which we do use. So we're just going to take a walk down to St James's Park. You can just see the trees. We're just going to show you the entrance. Okay, so this is St James's Park. If you go down this road here that you're looking at now, you can get all the way to Buckingham Palace, but don't go that way, go through St James's Park. It's a lovely walk, and at the other end of that park, it's about 2 minutes away, it's Buckingham Palace. So there's the Treasury.
Sometimes wonder if they appreciate the money.
Okay, so we're going to finish the tour at the Cabinet War Rooms, which you can just see the entrance over there. The Cabinet War Rooms is where Winston Churchill directed the British and Commonwealth forces in the Second World War, 1939 to 1945. Absolutely fascinating in there. I think you can see all the flags because they've got a state visit is probably due in the next few days, and they put all the flags out here. But as I say, we're going to end the tour there. I hope you enjoyed that walk. If there's anywhere particularly you want to go to, then please put a message in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you.